As you know, for our EUROSTUDENT Talks, this is the first time we work by registration, and we were a bit worried about how it will work. We were very surprised, very pleasantly surprised with the number of people who registered and with the interest that we have in EUROSTUDENT Talks. So thank you all for registering and for your interest. So as you know, the title of our webinar today, EUROSTUDENT Talk, is Making It Happen Through Data Towards Diversity, Inclusiveness, and Equality in Higher Education. We borrowed Making It Happen, the term, from the Section 7 of the European Strategy for Universities, the newly launched strategy, because we think that to make improvement happen and to make the higher education more diverse, inclusive, and equal, we need to work with data. And data is one of the important bases for such improvements and developments. And today we invited 3 speakers. I will be introducing them to give us their perspective, each from their own, from their perspective, about how to link data and how data can help in improving policy, monitoring policy, in order to get into diversity and inclusiveness in higher education. So today you have Lucy Troyanova from the European Commission. She's in the Department of Higher Education, and she takes care of the recognition of qualifications, including the recognition of qualifications of refugees and people in refugee-like situations. She's also involved in the social dimension in higher education and quality assurance. Next, we have Kaisu Piroinen from Finland. She's the senior ministerial advisor in the Ministry of Education and Culture in Finland, in the Division for Higher Education and Research as well. Her main duties are related to international and immigrated students, EU level higher education policy, and data analytics and statistics. She's also on the Finnish EUROSTUDENT Aid Steering Board. And last but not least, Berto Boscha, the Senior Policy Advisor for the Dutch Ministry of Education, Culture and Science. He's working on diversity and inclusion strategies to improve the participation of students in mobility and internationalization activities in higher education. And he's also on the steering board of EUROSTUDENT. And today we will be discussing the newly launched, as I'm sure everyone knows and has heard already about, the higher education package, which involves the Council recommendation on building bridges for effective European EU higher education cooperation and the European strategy for universities. We will start with Lucy, who will give us an overview. Good morning, Lucy. Okay, so Lucy will be giving us an overview of the strategy, the newly launched strategy, focusing in particular on the inclusion and the equality in education. I invite everyone, so it's true we have 3 official speakers, but I invite all of you to just tell us your opinions, your concerns, and questions, and anything you'd like to share, even from your perspectives, your own success stories in your countries, it would be useful. So Lucy, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you, Madonna. I'm sorry I couldn't unmute myself, but thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you very much for inviting me. I'm very happy to be with you and to give you a short overview of the educational package that's been published, or you've seen for the first time on the 18th of March of this year. Just to start with, I've prepared a short presentation on the overview of the package and on the strategy, and I did pinpoint out some points on the part that do focus on inclusion and diversity. So if you let me, I'll try to share the screen, and just please do let me know if you see it. I'm doing it right now. Do you see it?
Yes, perfect, yes.
I'll just put it in the... Is it all right for you?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, perfect. So, and now I'll hide this. So now it should be perfect, I hope. So once again, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. And then this is just a couple of slides to give you the overview of the package. So as you know, the package is composed out of, as already mentioned by Madonna, it's composed by a European strategy for university and the proposal for council recommendation on building bridges for effective European higher education cooperation. What are the objectives, or why it had happened that we came up with this package? And what the package sort of comprises. It's the European vision for the future of the universities. And through this package, we are also, of course, looking how we can support, how the Union can support the higher education institutions and the member states in order to make the higher education sector let's say, more transnational, or in order to support more transnational campuses, support and encourage easy access to mobility, and to make the education experience a truly European study path. Through this package, we are also calling, or we are making the call to member states and higher education institutions to join forces together in order to make it possible, or this European vision for universities to make it possible. And so we are, or we will also bring together closer innovation, education, and research closer to the society. So this is sort of the background of the educational package and the purpose, very shortly said. So there are 4 objectives. The first one is to strengthen the European dimension in higher education and research. Here, I just would like to pinpoint out that we do always put together excellence and inclusion. Those 2, excellence and inclusion, they go hand in hand, and we would like very much to support and encourage these 2 impacts and, or let's say, building blocks of education. The second objective is to consolidate universities as lighthouses of our European way of life. And this is very important in regard of diversity, inclusion, and gender equality. Because within this objective, we will look, or we will try to encourage institutional changes that are needed on the level of universities in order to make universities a truly equal place for educational opportunities. We will also work on promoting and protecting the European democratic values, because we do believe that it's very important that universities secure, it's a secure place for freedom of speech, thought, and learning. And then I'll go directly into the objective number 3, which is, of course, linked to the digitalization and to the green transition, because the third objective is about empowering universities as a key actors of change in the twin green and digital transition. So here we will be looking in developing the skills, competences, and technological innovations for the green and digital transitions. And the fourth objectives will look at the Europe as a global, as a player in the global context. So here we will try to reinforce universities as the drivers for Europe's global role. And here we will, of course, cooperate with the Bologna process and with the other, for example, the Erasmus Plus that also reaches out of the European context. And just, I would like to excuse myself. There might be some noise behind. I'm very sorry. I tried to stop it, but I see that they have retaken. So sorry about the constructions. I hope you can hear me okay.
Yes, it's very clear.
Okay, I'm very sorry. Okay, so, and there are 4 flagships initiatives within the strategy. So the first one, we are trying to expand the European Universities Alliances. We would like to expand them to 60s within more than 500 universities to be part of it. And this should be by the mid of 2024. We will use the Erasmus Plus budget for this. We will also work towards a legal status for alliances. Again, we will try to support it through the Erasmus Plus. And then we will examine options and necessary steps towards a joint European degree. It's a pilot that's starting this year, and it's again supported through the Erasmus+. And we will also work on scaling up the European Student Card initiative by deploying a unique European student identifier. And then here, I think this slide is something that is very much interesting for our meeting. So I pinpoint out the part of the strategy that focuses on diversity, inclusion, and gender equality. So as stated in the European Pillar for Social Rights, the access to education should be free and equal for all. And we know that the European system, compared to or other higher education system, it's let's say much more accessible and equally accessible than outside of in other regions. However, there are still differences that do persist, differences in access and continuation of studies. We do know that there are some problems regarding the gender gaps, especially in regards of the STEAM careers. And in regards of the gender, for example, we do know that for the bachelor and master degree, there's the women studying do overpass men. However, when we, for example, look into the professorship careers and careers like professorships, we see that there is a gender gap, that it's quite visible, that men usually are the ones that receive those type of jobs. We are also concerned of the very much need for the researchers at risks, meaning let's say refugees and people in like situation as refugees. So the European Commission, together with member states and other stakeholders, in order sort of to fight against those inequalities and difficulties within the within the inclusion and diversity policy, we will set up European framework for diversity and inclusion. And this framework will also include information on the gender gaps. Within this framework, we will look first on the challenges that member states and institutions do have to face, and with the challenges and the data that we will, of course, need, we will try to make recommendation how to overpass those challenges. We will also adapt or create a roadmap to address the underrepresentation of women in STEAM, as I've already mentioned, and we will support the researchers at risks with the guiding principles for universities to facilitate their inclusions. We have also included the protection and promotion of democratic values. So here there is already ongoing the new rollout and monitoring of democratic values through the new Erasmus Charter for Higher Education and new Erasmus Student just Charter. There will be also, we will try to foster debate on democracy and the importance of academic values under the Erasmus Plus program and Jean Monnet activities. Also within the this year, as most of you know, as the European Year of Youth. So many debates will be organized, not focused only on STEAM, but many of them will be focused on STEAM and gender. And we will also align our work together with the Bologna process, and we will build up on the Rome communique. And then, of course, as we have mentioned already, the Higher Education Observatory, which is also one of the objectives included in the strategy. So what do we intend to do with the Higher Education Observatory, what it should be? It should integrate and align the already existing tools that we have on the collection of data. So we do have many different tools that do already help us to collect the data on social dimension, gender gap, and inclusion policy. So we will try to put them together. By those tools, we do, for example, I mean the EUROSTUDENT, the EU-Multirank, the Bologna implementation report, the mobility scorecard, etc. We will also align the reporting with existing European education area and the European research area policy monitoring. So it will look sort of, it should be the one-stop shop portal. So it should be reliable, complete, and there should be an easy access to those information. So it should be easily accessible and easily used. There is also, it's going to be very important for the student mobility. So because there's going to be also enhanced use and relevance of those tools for the policymakers. And we will also sort of through those data that they will be collected in the coordinated and more complete, let's say, way, we will foster the synergies between the higher education institutions. And how do we intend to make the strategy reality? Of course, there is a funding, so we will mobilize the adequate financial support to higher education and research. We will promote the synergies between the European education area and the European research area. There will be also reporting then through the European education area strategic framework, which I've already mentioned, and the setup of the observatory. And I believe this is my last slide. I have here included the links where you can find the information on the European education area, on the proposal of the Council recommendation, and the European strategy for universities. And this is it from me as in regards of the general overview. I will now stop sharing and yes, and I'm here for questions. Thank you.
Thanks a lot
and once
for
again,
summarizing.
sorry for the noise.
No,
Very sorry for the noise.
So thanks a lot for summarizing so briefly such a big concept, such a big strategy. So before we take questions from the participants, and I would like to see whether Berto or Kaiso have any comments, first reactions to what we heard before.
Okay, if I start, thank you, Lucia. It was really interesting, and I have to admit that the whole. I'm really happy about the French presidency and the Commission bringing such a interesting and like kind of inspiring a higher education package. I have this new colleague working with this EU file, and she's been really inspiring. That is it always like this with the higher education? And we're like, well, not always. That it's not always so top to earth. And because this is really such an ongoing process, so my reactions are a little bit going towards what we have been discussing with the Commission and with the Education Committee. So it's kind of that we really support the synergies between the education and research, and this I think this whole package is building up something which is really good on that. But there's some questions because we still really open. Like I'm sure that Lucy is really well aware of those, because I think that at least I'm really supporting the deeper and more valuable systemic cooperation between of the all higher education institutions in Europe. But we are a little bit afraid, at least in Finland, we have been discussing about the legal status or any legal wording when we are not sure how it will be and what all are meant with that. So it's not easy to say yes to legal issues when you are not sure how it will be in the end. It's same goes with the joint degrees and everything, but I guess that the goal and what is meant, it's good, but still there are some questions ongoing. And also when the discussions about the higher education are in some terms going really fast towards the European university alliances. So it's really good to keep in mind that the higher education institute joining the European universities alliances are not the whole story in the Europe. So that when we are developing and deepen the cooperation, it should be done in systemic level, and it should be like supporting all of the institutions in Europe, not only the ones joining the alliances. And my last comment is about the observatory. It's really good that Commission is building up and collecting all the good work done in the all the tools and all the in the data sources. That would be really good. And now talking in the Eurostudent event, I feel that Eurostudent is not used as much as it should or could be done in European level. So this all kind of synergies in this topic are really good. Thank you.
I don't know if I can just quickly comment on Kaisu comment. So just quickly, I thank you very much for the comments. Indeed, I think they were all very valuable in regards of the synergies, in regards of the new legal status, in regards of the rollout of the new universities alliances. I myself, of course, I do not cover all those files, but I do know that my colleagues are very involved now in the future, let's say, negotiation on how to further, let's say, implement and put into the action the European strategy, including the legal status. So there is ongoing discussions with the member states representatives in regards also of the European universities and the European degree. So very valuable comments. I think it's still early I cannot make any conclusion to that, but I very much appreciate that. And in regards of the Euro students, as you mentioned, that the data maybe are not as much used as they could. From my side, I do use the data very often, almost all the time, because they're one of the most up-to-date and very useful. And I'm looking forward to the EUROSTUDENT 8, where we will have more also microdata that will be extremely useful for the implementation of the social policies, and also aligning it together with a group on social dimension within the Bologna process. So thank you very much for the question, the comments, actually comments. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And from adding from my side, I think we can fully agree with what Kaisu said. So we are happy with that you bring the inclusion and diversity much more forward than we did before. And we are happy with that attention. It really helps at the national level to bring this more forward. We also have some questions about the legal status and the joint degree, in what way it will add to what is already existing, or what problem is solved by this. But I think we can see what the future brings on these topics. And I also want to underline that everywhere has mentioned universities, but I think it should be the higher education institutions, because it also is about the universities for applied sciences. So it's a bit wider than that. And I can definitely agree with the dissemination, which Kaisu mentioned, that we should try to make it more broad to not only the European University Alliances, but also other existing alliances in the European Union, but also outside in the EHEA. So thank you.
Thank you, Berto. And I think there are some questions. So I do see the hand of Helga, and I know that there are some questions also in the chat, but yeah. I don't know with whom I should start.
Yeah. We can start with a question. Sorry, Helga, because the questions came a bit earlier.
Okay.
So would you read them? I can read them. Can you elaborate? Okay, go ahead.
I can too, but as I mentioned again, okay, I'm not in charge of every single file and every single question that is that's been asked. I'm not going to be able to reply to all of it. I'll try to do my best, but of course I can also reorient you to some of my colleagues that they take care of the specific file that the question is all about, because I do see a question on for example, the financing or funding from the Erasmus Plus, if it would be sufficient for the goals, and if it would not take money away from other Erasmus Plus activities. I believe it will not take the money from other Erasmus Plus activities. If it's going to be sufficient, we do believe we try to do our best in order to fund the activities as properly as possible. I do know that there were some top-ups in certain activities. For example, for the Bologna, there's going to be some top-up for the NARICs. Let's see. And regarding the student card, there's a question of what would the European student card mean in practice. For example, if one has IC card, would the European card be an add-on that card or replacement? I believe there's not going to be a replacement. But again, this is the colleagues of mine from the program team that they take care of the European student card. But I believe this card is not a replacement. It's a card that should be making the student mobility much easier among the different European states. With the digital data's ideal within and transmission of the data from one higher education institution to another one. But I'm very happy to give you the name of the colleagues that they do take care of the European student card, that they can give you the most up-to-date information. And I do see Helga has her hand up. So.
Yeah, thank you very much. A few comments and 2 questions. Right now we got all the documents for comments nationally, and I'm very pleased that social inclusion is in there, gender equality is addressed, the 3rd mission, and entrepreneurship, all the 5s we are working with, and that you stress excellence and inclusion. I think that is very important, but because sometimes that is not stressed so much. And I'm looking forward to the European Framework for Diversity and Inclusion. My first question, when are you going to publish that, or what's the time frame for this? And how is the Higher Education Observatory organized? Who is behind that? Is that something Eurydice does, or who else? But thank you for this great overview of all the strategies and the work. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Helga. I do, of course. So the strategy, the educational packet was sort of just published. I mean, not just, but last month. So currently we are putting together different teams that they too take care of different priorities, and we are and those different teams will follow on the implementation of the actions, just to sort of brief you or give you some practical information how the implementation will look like. Regarding the framework, so for example, the framework will of course we will be working on the framework within our directorate, so the Directorate General for Education, Youth and Culture. So it's going to be a cross-cutting work with our different colleagues, because, for example, we do have the network on equality that it's also cross-cutting through the DG, if I may say DG. And we will, of course, put together a different strategy on, for example, inclusion of Roma, inclusion of LGBT and other, let's say, ethnicity or disadvantaged groups. So through this work and through the informations that we already do have, we will build on that, and we will go forward. Our work forward is not going to happen only on the level of the European Commission. We will reach out also to the national stakeholders and to universities and to member states. Regarding the time frame, I believe there is a time frame within the strategy. I cannot give it to you now from my off the head. But regarding the observatory also, there will be a study that's going to be launched, a study that will be launched, I believe, this year, 2022, which will also help us with the observatory. And that's going to be also, we will integrate different, as I mentioned, different data collections together, and then use them later on. The observatory should then roll out, definitely, the work is starting now. The work is starting now on everything. And the time frame, we will go as long as we go, we'll keep on informing you. It's very fresh still. But,
yes, thank you very much.
But I believe that during the French presidency and the Czech presidency already, the focus is very much on the implementation of the strategy. So yes.
Thanks a lot. Here I have a question just to confirm from your presentation, so that there will be no extra reporting from member states, right? For the observatory, you will be based on what we already have. correct?
What we already
not?
have, it's going to be integrated all together in one place. And so far, I believe not, but it's very fresh. I don't want to give you some misleading information.
Okay, thanks a lot. Anyone would like to comment or say anything before we move to the next speaker? More questions at this stage?
Yeah, I can just say also that, as I mentioned, for the observatory, so the study that will be launched, that's going to be the study to support a tender process. And we will address the benefits and feasibility and different challenges and limitation that can be faced by the proposed observatory. So, and during this tender or during the study, we will consult with stakeholders during the process. So, and I believe this is going to be really, let's say, the building block for the observatory. So, yes.
Thanks a lot, Lucy. It gave us a good overview of the behind the scenes.
Yeah. It's going to concretize. It's going to concretize with the time I do, and we will of course share the information with you. Yes, thank you. So thank you for the space, and thank you for being able to talk to you.
And you will stay here until the end, right? So if someone
I
has
will
a question...
stay here until 5 to 12. I do have another meeting at 12. I do apologize for this, but I'm here for now. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So now we move to Kaiso. Good morning again. So we'll have here the perspective of the ministry, from ministry perspective, from a member state perspective, rather than from the European Commission. We saw on the website of the Finland Ministry of Education and Culture that you have a lot of studies that are done based on EUROSTUDENT data. So here, as you're starting to prepare for your student aid and for the questionnaire and what questions to include, we're curious to see how it works. Would it work in Finland? Does it work that you get from the ministry, like the direction on what needs to be looked into and what data has to be looked into, or does it start from the data, like the findings that you find and they feed into the policy? So in a way, what comes first?
Yeah, thank you, Madonna, and thanks for inviting me for this event. It's such an honor. I have 2 slides about this because it's kind of a really good question. What comes first? Is it the egg or the chicken or what? But just give me a second. And this is I will share the screen. How we did it on the round 7, but of course now we are currently starting to work towards the round already running round 8, so it will be kind of already discussions about that. Is it okay? Can you see it well? Yeah, perfect. I'm here on the office and I'm between 3 slides, so it's kind of confusing, but perfect. So yes, this is from the EUROSTUDENT 7 research articles, Case Finland.
Sorry, I'll interrupt you, Kaiser. Can you put it on full screen maybe? Yes, someone also has. So we can see it clearly.
It's actually, I have it on the full slide. But maybe if I do it like this, it's. I'm sorry, I'm really with the Zoom because I'm using it from the browser, so it sometimes.
Someone is saying press F5.
Okay,
from
thank
you.
Thank you.
They're giving us.
Better.
It's still the same, but it's okay. You can go ahead.
Okay, but can you see it now?
Yes, it's
okay, perfect.
visible.
Yeah, sorry about this, but yes. So what we did on the last round is that what came first. Actually, we have been this program of Prime Minister Sanna Marin government plan 2019. It's really focusing on these questions. So inclusive and component Finland, a socially, economically, and ecologically sustainable society. And on higher education field, it's really much focusing among things like strongly on social dimension and inclusion. So we have been quite happy with the with the EUROSTUDENT and with the government plan going like hand in hand in a way. In this slide, I will focus on the foreign students and the integration of the foreign students. But we could draw this kind of picture also about the accessibility or the inclusion in higher education, because that was also theme on the government plan and also in our research articles. So this is just a case of that. So there is short text about the government plan, but if we will look to the yellow part, so what we are doing, what we did on the steering group work on national questions and themes, we are representative of student unions, rectors from the University of Applied Sciences and universities, and then Statistics Finland and some other steering groups which are like using the EUROSTUDENT data and which are willing to share their experience towards the questionnaire. So Finland has been done this a couple of times already, that we are using the core questionnaire. So what is coming from the consortium, those questions, and then we are enriching it with some of the national questions and themes. So following this government plan, like we are doing at the moment, like we did on the 7th round, and now we are doing already on the EUROSTUDENT 8th round, because we are still on the government plan. We know that for example, EUROSTUDENT questionnaire and the data source is really good, also a good way to reach international students. But we know that the core questionnaire itself, it doesn't so much focus on these questions. So what we did on the steering group, we decided that okay, we want to focus on international students and their integration also. So we add 6 questions which are only related to the studying as a foreign person in Finland, and only foreign students are answering those questions. And those questions were also made together with well, it was actually 2 researchers, Hannu Karhonen and Charles Mathies, who did those questions. So it was not the steering group itself, but just experts also. So from the yellow part, we decided that okay, we will add questions for the foreign students, and then also about the preparatory courses and this private tutoring and this kind of issues which we are not getting from anywhere else, but we would like to add to your student survey. So we did a data collection in February 2020, just before the COVID started. So this is it's gonna be really interesting to see how the answers in like before COVID and after COVID, when we would do the data collection in next month already for the EUROSTUDENT 8. So it's going to be interesting also. So, but yes, there was this additional questions for international students. And the last box in the end, it's like we had this open call for researchers and research groups in summer 2020. We decided together with the steering group that there will be 6 teams, which are one was inclusion and accessibility, then there was a gender equality, then it was international integration of the foreign students, which is basically the case I'm representing now, and then there was student fees and study support, and then there was flexible studies, and then it was work experience and quality of work comparing to the study field. So 6 different baskets or teams, and so then it was open for all the researchers in Finland. All this actually it would be open more widely, but this is in Finnish. So of course, if there would be some researchers outside of the Finland who knows Finnish language, so they would be also welcome. So, and it's not only the EUROSTUDENT data researchers are using, but normally these researchers are already doing this kind of research on the topic. So they are able to use and add and top up EUROSTUDENT data with other data they are having, and also to combine it with the registered data of the higher education students. We are having the funding of 80,000 euros, and on this round we had we actually had seven of the publications. So you can count from that. And then just to show you the outcomes. So on spring 2021, we had so 1 year after the data was collected, we were able to publish already 2 of them, and this actually came out at the same time as the national EUROSTUDENT survey from Finland. Unfortunately, these are only in Finnish, but they will have just a short part also in English if you are interested. But I mean, the other one was about this first one, foreign students in Finnish higher education institutions, the reasons why the students came to Finland and whether they are interested in working in Finland after graduation. And then the other one was about the higher education guidance and support to foreign students to find employment and achieve integration. So these 2 were the outcomes, and we have been really happy to use them quite widely, especially because of the government plan. Of course, this topic, the integration and the talent attraction, is currently on agenda, and I guess that Finland is not the only country in Europe who is struggling with the same issue with the aging population and a need of new experts and workers and foreign students. So it's kind of, it goes both ways. But this was my presentation as short, and I'm not gonna use more time of this because I know that Berto will have something to say also. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Kaisu. That was quite clear and very interesting to see how other member states are going about with their EUROSTUDENT planning. Anyone has any questions or any comments? I can't see any. I'm not missing any questions, I hope.
Maybe I can ask one question to Kaisu. Kaisu, thank you very much for this presentation, and I think it is a bit similar as how we do it in the Netherlands. Did I understood you rightly if I say that the EUROSTUDENT monitor is mainly indicative for you on where to have more research on?
Do you mean the national report or what?
No, the EUROSTUDENT 7 in this case. Is it really just to see where the topics are that need to be researched more, like you did with international students?
Yeah, kind of yes, but also some of the topics which are really well presented in the national report already, but we also want to know more about those topics. So it's kind of it's helping, and it's making us easier to focus on some other topics in the whole publication, and then to go deeper in some of the questions. Yes, but we have been actually really happy with the Statistics Finland last rounds, because we have been able to progress the national report itself already. So it's kind of really good tool already, and then to be able to go deeper in some of the questions with these ones. Yes.
Thank you. So until we get more questions, if anyone has any question, I'll ask Berto. So we got some insiders information from our colleagues at the consortium of EUROSTUDENT that in the Netherlands, you are planning to use the EUROSTUDENT aid data for monitoring of the social dimension of your social dimension policy developments in the coming year. Can you please maybe elaborate a bit more how you're planning to do that?
Yes, thank you, Madonna, and thank you for the invitation. An honor to speak here to all of you. In the Netherlands, we actually have 3 research reports which we use in triangulation. So we make a lot of policy, and then we, of course, want to know what the result is of all this policy. So we have a policy monitor, which is done every year. And then we have a lot of results. How is the policy we have spread out over the country? How is it working for us? How is it working for the teachers, the students? And then we also want to know what it does for the student perspective. So we have an annual student report as well, where we monitor what the effect is for the individual students or for certain groups of students. And our political arena just asks more and more how this is being benchmarked in Europe. So how do we do it compared to other European countries? And I think that is one of the biggest added values of EUROSTUDENT for us.
Sorry, please, someone has their microphone. Hello? Hello? Someone? Okay, I think. Sorry, Berto, for this.
No problem. Yes, thank you. Muted now. So the biggest added value of EUROSTUDENT for us is that we can benchmark our current and national situation for students with other countries. And the EUROSTUDENT report has a lot of nice images with countries in red, yellow, and green. And that really helps our political leaders to see how we are doing. And if we are doing in red, so we're doing not too good, then it's really helpful to make more effort to improve that part. So EUROSTUDENT is of great help, but it's mainly indicative because knowing that on a certain topic we are doing less than other countries is just a starting point for new research to see what the current or what the actual problem is for the students and what we should do about it.
Can you go maybe into one example which happened you had shared with us 2 days ago? Maybe that would be very interesting.
Yeah, we have changed in the Netherlands from a subsidy for all students where they could study for free. At least they had a basic scholarship, and then finishing their study, it was a gift by the government, and we changed that to a loan. And we were wondering whether this had an impact on students. And we saw that the students in the Netherlands, we had much more students coming in before it was changed. And then once it was the scholarship was fully a loan, we saw that the numbers of students coming in was a bit dropping, but then stabilized again. And then we were wondering, what does this do, for example, for the international mobility of these students? And then we saw a tendency that we were dropping a bit in the international lists. So we have a very good participation in international mobility, but we also saw that financial burden became a bigger issue for much more students. And then we asked EUROSTUDENT to make a fact sheet for us. How are the students in the Netherlands doing on this international mobility? And we saw that financial problems were becoming a bigger issue than it was before. So that was for us a starting point to look deeper into this. And now we see that that the loan system is one of the issues here. So that's really helping to change that policy again. And at the current moment, we are changing the system back to make it a gift again. So it's interesting how this can help.
Yes, it's really interesting. Yeah, it really shows how the data can come to life, like through policy changes and developments. Thank you. Yeah. And here, given that you come from a national ministry, but you're also a member of the EUROSTUDENT steering board. In your opinion, how can we strengthen the link between EUROSTUDENT and the national ministries and between data and policies? So you can see both sides.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Looking at the national ministry side, I think research is mainly used as an indicator, and having a benchmark like EUROSTUDENT, or for example, also the Bologna implementation report, really helps to see how we are doing compared to other countries. And for the political leaders, it's always a lot of information to read, also for the policy makers. So what researchers could do to help us is to make it more accessible with fact sheets on a certain topic. So that might help to make it more easy to have a lot of information in a short time. And what's also helping is the microdata, which is EUROSTUDENT trying to build up, because that's going to see a trend over the years, and a trend is also less influential for the current political vision from the moment, because a trend is giving a basis of information over the years, and seeing over years that something changes is really helpful to indicate, hey, something is happening, maybe we should change or adapt our policy. And that's the starting point for new research. So that is maybe how we can help each other on that. And I'm always a bit jealous of Austria in this matter, because Austria has a good student tracking system. And I have been informed about this by Martin Unger, who is working on that. And we are actually a bit jealous because they have much more detailed information on how a student progresses in a certain study area and how this evolves into the labor market. This is something we really would like to have as well, but it's a big step to reach that point. So maybe Helga can say something about it. She's here as well. But we are a bit jealous on that, and maybe that is the way we hope that your students could help us as well. Building up a trend around Europe helps us to compare, and making it accessible with fact sheets, that's going to be helpful for us.
Thank you, Berto. Very, very useful tips for us, the EUROSTUDENT Consortium. Thanks. Helga, would you like to tell us a bit more about the graduate tracking that you have, the tracking?
Well, graduate tracking, there's a project called ATTRAC, where all the public universities have joined in a project, and where they can track their graduates. I don't know, I think someone from Statistics Austria is also here who could elaborate on that. But right now we're trying and figure out how this project that is done by universities, how we can sort of apply that also nationally, and how that can inform the EuroGraduate project with the student data the universities themselves have, and where they track their own students. That's something different. There's also projects. I don't know if Martin is here today. He could tell us more about that. But from the Austrian perspective, yes, I can relate to everything that has been said so far by Kaiso and Berto. EuroStudent is a great initiative because we've also a long tradition of national surveys, and we are going to now align our interval of the national student survey with the EuroStudent. So right now the tender is out for the next 2 national surveys, 23 and 25, and then we hope to go along with the EuroStudent interval of 3 years. And we're doing about the same as Finland. We have national questions and things we like to have better explored. So we put those questions into the national survey and then feed all that into the EuroStudent. We also have a board for when we do the national survey, so that we have all the stakeholders, students, rectors conference, what have you in the board, so that we try and really see what do we want to explore nationally, how's the core questionnaire, and how does that go together. And yeah, working on the EuroGraduate will open a new road and linking graduates to the labor market. So yeah, I see on the European level, the Higher Education Observatory will bring data together, and we sort of try to do that nationally as well. So, but maybe someone else wants to add. And I'm very happy that there's lots of audience from Austria here. So great that the interest is so high.
Yes, indeed, our Austrian colleagues have a good presence in the EUROSTUDENT Talks. Thank you, Helga, for this overview. Anyone else would like to add something, comment, share what they do?
Maybe just a short response. I mean, really thankful Helga for the comments and Berto. But I mean, even though about the EuroStudent and the use of it, because we have a good register data of the higher education students, but then we are really able to see the gaps and the empty holes where we can use EuroStudent and to fill in those data needs, because of course register can't tell how the student is feeling and how she or he is using the money, and you know how it is. But I mean the good combination between the register and this great surveys, like kind of good combination. Thanks.
Thank you, Kai. So even you shared on the chat a link about your register for anyone who's interested to look further into it. 2-3 more minutes left if anyone would like to add something or ask something.
Maybe a bit of a sidebar, but in the Bologna process, we also have a working group on the social dimension. And the EUROSTUDENT monitor is one of the questionnaires we use to have an idea of how we can set an indicator on how to improve the social dimension within the EHEA. So it's interesting to see that it's widely in interest at the current moment with the Commission, European Commission, but also in the Bologna process. And I hope that we, at the end of this working program of the Bologna process, we have some indicators where we can benchmark all the European countries on the social dimension. And I think that's a good starting point to see where we can help each other and support each other to make more effort of this.
Yes, Berto, thank you. I agree. Yes, we already have a lot of partnerships, let's say, between different tools and different sources. So having a higher education observatory might be a very good initiative to put everything there. We have a question. Can we have the link for Vienna's graduate tracking platform? I don't know if you can share it on the chat, the link.
I'm not sure what is meant with the graduate tracking platform. There's no graduate tracking platform yet because we are only establishing the Euro graduate project at the moment. And the link to the ATRAC, I have to see if I can share that. If I can't do it right now, I'll do that later on, and you can share with the participants.
Yes, we'll do. Okay, thank you. And the question, Alan Maxim, who is interested in more details surrounding the Dutch loan gift, which you mentioned, Berto. Do you have some sources or links which you can share as well, or maybe give someone?
Yeah, I have to dive into that. Of course, there are some sources, but I don't know them from my head. But I've sent him my email address. But I can send it in the chat as well for other people if they are interested. And then I will dive into it, and then I can send some more documents about it.
Thank you. We have a friend as well from. Hello.
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 Can you hear me? Yeah. Yeah. Helga Postel already mentioned that somebody from Statistics Austria is here, and well, that's me. Yeah, and just actually, Helga already mentioned the most important details. So we have data on all students and also all pupils, and through registers, if we have the legal basis, we can link data to parents, to parent data, economic status of parents, and to their labor market entries, the careers when they start the labor markets. And we have various versions of trackings for students and pupils. And ACHEC is for academic graduates. And I'm not sure how much is actually given away to public, but I will check for links as well as Helga possible. Yeah, that's, in theory, we have many data sources we can link. It's, yeah, just, I guess, like in Finland, which is the statistics. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks a lot for your, yes, if you could also share some links, even if you share them after the meeting today, and then we can share to the rest of the participants. Thank you. So I think it's a very good time to stop and to close our meeting. It was quite interesting, really practical, from a practical point of view, and from a futuristic point of view, like looking to the future. We have a lot to do together. Thanks a lot for coming. Thanks a lot for our speakers. And I wish you a nice rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Kaizo. Bye-bye. Berto, Lucy, bye-bye.
Yeah.